When you walk into a newly renovated house or like you look at a perfectly landscaped garden, there is this expectation of absolute precision.
Right, flawless grout lines, that kind of thing.
Exactly. The custom cabinetry fits to the millimeter. The plumbing is completely silent. We see that finished product and just assume the process behind it is a well-oiled machine.
Which it usually isn't.
No, not at all. You peek behind the curtain at the actual business running that project, and suddenly all that precision just vanishes into this total disaster zone.
Yeah, panicked late-night text messages.
Crumpled up hardware store receipts, and, a business owner who is quietly stressed out of their mind. So welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're looking at a piece of software called Trackexa, and its story perfectly illustrates how hyper-niche tools are being born out of sheer, unadulterated frustration, to overthrow the massive, one-size-fits-all tech giants.
The contrast really is jarring. I mean, you have professionals delivering masterful physical craftsmanship every single day, yet the digital infrastructure supporting them is often, well, barely holding together.
Barely holding together is putting it mildly.
Right. And we pulled sources today from Trackexa's website, their documentation, and their YouTube channel, which is aimed squarely at Australian tradespeople. So painters, plumbers, electricians, landscapers.
My absolute favorite thing we found on the sources today was actually the description on their YouTube channel. It perfectly sets the tone for the entire business strategy we're about to analyze.
I know the one.
Yeah, it simply says, job management that doesn't make you want to throw your phone at a wall.
That is just a brilliant piece of marketing.
Yeah.
Because it speaks directly to the emotional state of their user base.
Oh, for sure.
And then, we are looking at a tool designed specifically for Australian tradies, but the underlying mechanics of how hyper-specialized software disrupts those massive tech behemoths is a masterclass. It applies to anyone interested in business, technology, or simply designing systems that actually work in the real world rather than just, on a whiteboard.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we can analyze the software itself, we really have to examine the specific psychological and operational pain points that forced it into existence. We need to look at the Tradies dilemma.
Yeah, the daily grind.
Imagine the reality for a typical service professional. They spend 10 hours out in the field doing highly technical, physically demanding work.
Exhausting stuff.
Then they get home, totally wiped out, and their second shift begins.
Right, the admin shift.
They are bouncing between a scheduling app, a separate quoting tool, and some clunky spreadsheet they built like 5 years ago. They're just drowning in administrative tasks just to keep the lights on.
The mental toll of that disjointed workflow is incredibly heavy. I mean, it goes far beyond the mere annoyance of data entry.
Definitely.
The profound uncertainty that comes with disorganized data is what really damages a small business owner.
There is a quote from the founder in our source material that perfectly captures that specific anxiety. He said he constantly asked himself, am I actually making money on this job?
Just think about the sheer terror of that for a second.
It's crazy. You could be sweating over a landscaping project for 3 weeks, completely booked up, but literally not know if the job is profitable until long after the dust has settled and the final invoices are paid.
Because being busy does not automatically equal being profitable.
Exactly.
If a client requests a minor change that adds, say, 2 days of labor or the cost of copper piping spokes mid-project.
Which happens all the time.
Right. Then you could essentially be paying for the privilege of working on someone's house. You're totally flying blind.
I mean, it's like trying to measure a millimeter precise cut for custom cabinetry, right? But the only tool you actually have is a rusted weather vane.
That's a great way to put it.
The precision of the physical work demands a digital tool that measures financial data with the exact same granularity, but they just don't have it. And that brings us to the origin of Trackexa.
All right, Joel Walters.
Yeah, the founder, Joel Walters. He is not some Silicon Valley tech bro who decided to, disrupt the blue-collar space after analyzing market trends.
No, not at all.
He was a guy running a painting business in Cairns, Australia, living the exact nightmare we just described.
He was losing hours every single week to administrative misery. And he built Trackexa first and foremost to solve his own operational chaos.
Built it for himself.
Exactly. It was only after he stabilized his own painting business that he recognized every other trade was dealing with the identical problem.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the most indispensable business solutions almost never come from theoretical brainstorming sessions in corporate tech parks.
No, they don't.
They emerge from practical, on-the-ground suffering. Someone gets so completely fed up with the status quo that they build the lifeboat themselves.
Extreme frustration is the mother of adoption. When software is built by someone who actually does the job, it inherently speaks a different language than a platform built by a disconnected IT department.
So, knowing the sheer frustration that birthed this tool, let's move into how it actually functions. How does Trackexa flip the script on that generic job management experience and solve that "am I making money" mystery?
Well, the features they prioritize reveal a lot about their design philosophy.
The tool that immediately stood out in the documentation is what they called a profit per hour tracker.
Oh yeah, that's a game changer.
Think about your own job for a second. If you're a corporate listener tracking billable hours across 3 different agency dashboards, the friction is the exact same.
Yep.
By logging hours and materials directly against a specific job, a tradie can see their exact profit, their true margin, and their actual hourly rate in real time. It completely removes the guesswork.
It turns the abstract, hopeful feeling of, I think I made money today, into a concrete, undeniable data point. And they funnel all of that microdata into a centralized dashboard.
The source material paints a very vivid picture of this morning routine. You wake up, you grab a coffee, and you open this instant business snapshot.
Everything right there.
On one single screen, and the sources use these specific numbers as an example, you see $33,121 sitting in your quotes pipeline.
Okay.
You see $20,864.70 in this month's income. And you see exactly $770 in outstanding unpaid invoices.
Oh.
Before the coffee is even gone, you have total clarity on the health of the business.
Centralized financial clarity is powerful, but they pair it with operational clarity too. Like, look at their calendar integration. Jobs aren't just generic blocks of time.
No.
They sync directly to Google Calendar in a bold yellow color, so they're basically impossible to miss.
The system autofills the customer's name, address, and phone number directly into the event. And the task list has the client context built right in.
Right.
A user just taps a task to instantly call a client, send an SMS, or start GPS navigation to the job site.
It's a concept we can call data architecture as cognitive relief.
Oh, I like that.
They are collapsing the distance between looking at a schedule and taking action on it, which saves the user a massive amount of mental RAM.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little, because as I was looking through the mechanics of the profit per hour tracker, a major red flag went up for me. We're talking about a user base that openly despises administrative work. But to get that magical profit number, you have to log your materials and your hours for every single job.
Right.
Doesn't that just replace the old spreadsheet nightmare with a brand new data entry nightmare? You're essentially just doing admin in a different app.
That is the exact trap a lot of productivity software falls into, and it's a completely valid critique. But the genius of Trackexa and how they solve that specific problem lies in their single-entry data routing.
Okay, how does that work?
If you analyze their YouTube tutorials, you see titles like Schedule Trade Jobs to Google Calendar in 2 clicks and How to Turn a Quote into a Paid Invoice.
So they are prioritizing speed over complex features.
Speed through structural design. The entire system is engineered to eliminate duplicate entry. You aren't typing a client's name into a quoting tool, manually moving it to a calendar, retyping it into an invoice, and then entering your materials into a separate profit tracker.
That sounds exhausting just saying it out loud.
Exactly. A quote moves seamlessly from draft to complete. The materials you input to win the job automatically flow into the job cost. The hours you work log directly against that initial estimate.
Ah, I see. So it's not like more data entry. It's leveraging the data you already had to input to create the quote in the first place and letting the software route it everywhere else.
The data is entered once. The software does the heavy lifting of distributing it. It's fundamentally different from just patching 3 different apps together with an API and hoping they communicate.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the way this tool functions in the real world isn't just about tracking profit. It's about the highly specific environment the user operates in.
The location.
Trackex's biggest secret weapon is that it completely ignores the global market to focus entirely on local compliance.
The hyperlocal advantage is a fascinating contrarian business strategy.
The software natively supports the Australian financial year, which runs from July to June.
Right.
It has a built-in GST, the goods and services tax breakdown that automatically appears anytime you hover over a financial chart. It features native reporting designed specifically for the BAS, which is the business activity statement Australian businesses must submit to the tax office.
And to understand why this local focus is such a massive technical advantage, we have to look at how global software is actually built.
Right, let's look at the competitors highlighted in the sources.
You have Fergus, which dominates with a New Zealand focus. You have Jobber, which is a massive player but relies heavily on U.S. frameworks. Then you have tools like Tradify or Service M8, which are engineered to be generic global solutions.
Meaning those platforms have to work just as well for a plumber in Texas as they do for an electrician in Sydney.
Exactly. When you build software for everyone, you inevitably build a compromise. There is a profound architectural difference between a feature being baked into the code from day one versus being bolted on as an afterthought.
Because they're just patching things up.
Yeah. A massive Silicon Valley built app might let a user change the currency symbol to Australian dollars or let them rename a generic tax column to GST. But the core database tables of that software were likely built around IRS categories.
So when it comes time to generate that highly specific Australian BAS report, the global software breaks down because it doesn't fundamentally understand how those regional expenses need to be grouped.
It's a structural limitation.
Correct.
Trackexa handles it natively because Joel Walters was dealing with the Australian tax office himself while writing the logic.
That makes total sense.
They sacrificed an enormous total addressable market.
I mean, they are ignoring millions of potential customers in the US and Europe.
Right, in exchange for absolute product market fit in their own backyard.
If you are an Australian tradie, why on earth would you use a tool where you have to mentally translate US tax terminology when there is an option that speaks your exact regulatory language straight out of the box?
You wouldn't.
You simply wouldn't.
It creates a moat. They aren't trying to win the world. They are just trying to be the most frictionless option for a guy fixing pipes in Melbourne.
So they rejected the global market to win the local one, but building a hyperlocal tool brings up a massive business problem.
Money.
Yes. If your potential customer base is geographically limited, how do you generate enough revenue to survive against venture capital-backed tech giants?
Well, the answer is buried in a pricing philosophy that is almost as disruptive as the software itself.
Trackexa Pro is a flat $39 per month, period.
We really need the context of the wider software market to see why that number is so aggressive.
Let's list the competitor pricing models we found in the sources. Generic trade apps usually charge somewhere between $50 and $80 per month per user.
Per user, that's the kicker.
Or, in the case of a platform like Service M8, they require you to buy per job credits.
Oh,
The
wow.
more work you do, the more you pay them. Or they utilize incredibly complex pricing tiers where they lock the most essential features, like integrating with your accounting software behind massive paywalls.
Traditional SaaS companies utilize per-seat pricing because venture capitalists love automatic monthly recurring revenue expansion. As the client's plumbing business grows and they hire more staff, the software company's revenue grows automatically without them having to make a new sale.
But for a small business owner, that feels like a direct penalty for success.
Completely.
You hire a new apprentice and suddenly your software bill jumps by $80 a month just so the kid can check his schedule on his phone. It creates immediate friction.
It does.
By contrast, Trackexa covers unlimited quotes, unlimited invoices, the profit tracking, the native financial year dashboards, and full cloud sync across iOS and Android, all for that flat $39 fee. They even start you off with a 14-day free trial where you don't even need to input a credit card.
What's fascinating here is that Trackexa isn't trying to squeeze every possible dollar out of a growing business.
No.
By offering a transparent flat rate, they're optimizing for extreme loyalty and retention rather than aggressive revenue expansion. These sole operators and small teams are fundamentally exhausted by surprise charges, hidden fees, and high-pressure account executives constantly trying to upsell them to an enterprise tier.
Their marketing is essentially anti-corporate, which perfectly aligns with the demographic they serve. And that philosophy extends right down to the actual onboarding process.
Oh, the migration stuff.
Yes. I actually laughed out loud when I read the FAQ section on their site regarding data migration.
It is incredibly blunt for a software company.
Totally. When asked about importing existing customer lists into the new software, they flat out tell users that there is no complex bulk import feature.
They don't even try to hide it.
They basically say, look, you can add them manually as you go. It only takes a minute per entry. And honestly, most tradies find it easier to just start fresh.
I was genuinely surprised by that. A standard corporate software company would spend 6 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars developing a buggy CSV import tool that ends up frustrating the user anyway.
Always.
Trackexa just looks at their user and says, start clean, we won't overcomplicate this.
It's the digital equivalent of sweeping the workshop floor before you start a brand new project. Just clear the clutter, throw out the old junk, and begin with a clean slate. They know a painter in Cairns doesn't have an IT department to manage a complex data migration. They just want to send a quote to a client today.
It also keeps their own development costs incredibly lean, which is the mechanical reason they can actually sustain that $39 flat rate against the giants.
Right.
They aren't building bloatware to justify a high price tag. They're building only what is strictly necessary for the user to succeed.
So what does this all mean? To pull all of this together, Trackexa is essentially proving that the odd software adage is absolutely true. Designed for everyone means perfect for no one. By focusing intensely on the specific anxiety of their users through the profit per hour tracker, by building native Australian tax architecture into the very foundation of the code, and by deploying a flat rate pricing model that doesn't penalize a small business for growing, a former painter built a tool that actually respects a professional's time and wallet.
This entire case study is a masterclass in recognizing when a system is failing you. Even if you have absolutely nothing to do with the trades, it highlights the profound power of rejecting the accepted, generic way of doing things. You don't have to accept software that makes your job harder.
It's about demanding that the back-end operations of your professional life are just as precise, just as deliberate, and just as polished as the work you deliver to the world.
Well said.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. Think about the clunkiest, most frustrating, most mind-numbing piece of software you are currently forced to use in your own job. The one that makes you want to throw your phone at a wall.
We all have one.
If you had the power to build a hyper-niche app to fix the one specific thing that drives your entire industry absolutely crazy, what would it be?